and only DNVR. Two goes out to Zach, Mace, RK, and the bar. Three for Mr. B in that old trophy case. Number four still waiting for, well, bring on the chase. Out on the field at Mile High, Broncos win is our desire. Coupled with a break, brew and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
We are DNVR, and we are live from Studio A. The A stands for...
Afternoon, as Logan says. Afternoon, everyone.
Well, are people angry? They're not
amazing.
apoplectic.
Why would they be angry or apoplectic?
I don't know. I mean, I just did a poll today that says that in which 48% of the voters say that they would rather miss the playoffs and clean house than make the playoffs and keep most of the coaching staff.
Let's focus on the 52%.
I know. I'm so disgusted by that, and the people that just want to focus on the negatives and say how bad Teddy Bridgewater was. They won by 28 points yesterday.
Yeah.
What more do you want? The offense put up more points at 38 than they have in years. The defense held a really bad team to 10 points. The offense did their job. The defense did their job. Special teams was a non-factor. What do we want here? They're 7-6. I mean, this is something where I'm with Mace. I'm just, what are we upset about here? Now, if the script gets flipped next week and the Bengals come out and blow them out, let's talk about it all. Let's talk about all the bad. But guys, the Broncos are in the thick of a playoff race right now.
Man, I don't know. My mentions and everything have been highly positive today and yesterday.
You've been in the Madden chat?
I have been in the Madden chat.
There's people not happy about the game last night.
People just, we talked about this last night. People just don't like Teddy. This is a quarterback town. They want quarterbacks.
People are mad at Teddy. People don't like Vic. People don't want this team to succeed because they don't want to see those guys succeed, which blows my mind.
This is the town that drove Jake Plummer to the point of literally flicking off the
I said it last
Remember
night.
that?
I'm like, if Jake Plummer's not good enough, like it's
Right.
gonna be tough. That's a high bar, and you have to clear that bar just to have a chance to be liked.
You either have to be a god, a.k.a. Peyton Manning or John Elway, or you have to have God on your side, a.k.a. Tim Tebow. Otherwise, you're toast.
Yeah, it's,
people like
this
Jake.
is not where I was planning on starting the show off today.
But people like Jake a lot more now that after he retired than when he was here.
Don't know what you got
it's
till it's
amazing.
gone.
Jake is beloved now by the fan base. He was not beloved when he played here.
Yeah, see, it always works that way. CU fans love Gary Barnett now. They didn't love him, he followed up he was, one coach removed from a national championship, so it wasn't good enough.
But at least he wanted to be in Boulder, unlike the guy he replaced.
Right, of course. So, anyways, not where I was planning on going. I thought the vibes are great today. And the weather's nice, sun's out.
It's good vibes with me, man.
Mondays are amazing in Denver after a Broncos win, in my opinion.
Especially when it's pretty much early fall in December.
And Mondays are always amazing if you get an education over at MSU Denver, msudenver.edu/online. They're the presenting sponsor of this show. Rigorous and affordable online education taught by professors who bring the real world into the classroom. So check out our friends over at msudenver.edu/online.
My boys, let's get this Monday going to a positive start and bring the positivity because, guys, like I said, Broncos are right in the thick of a playoff mix right now. They are just tiebreakers away from actually being in a wild card spot right now. And the beauty of all of this, too? There's 3 spots. The Broncos don't just have 2 opportunities, they've got 3 opportunities.
And there are 5 teams sitting there at 7-6, all right in the thick of the conversation. And I guess you can look at it both ways. There's 3 wild card spots that you can jump into, which is very nice. But there's also a lot of teams that you're competing with here. So what I wanted to do today is take a look at these teams and see not only who is the best of those teams in our opinion, but also who has the easiest and or most difficult path. So, Zach, why don't you start us off just by listing those teams?
So the standings, you have your four leaders in the division, and then you have the Chargers, who are the first wild card spot. They're 8-5, so they've got a game up on every one of these other 5 teams.
Should be noted, Broncos get another head-to-head matchup with them, have the first one in the bag.
Exactly, but so that just makes it even more crowded of a race right there. And of course, that's going to be a big one because if the Broncos win that, then if it's just come down to head-to-head, the Broncos have that over the Chargers. If not, we're going to get into a lot more complicated things. But the 5 that are in tying for those 2 final wild card spots, right now the 2 that are in it are the Colts and the Bills. Then you have the Browns at the 8th seed, the Bengals at the 9th seed, and Denver. Right now, the Broncos are the worst of those teams in terms of the tiebreakers, but that doesn't really matter right now because Broncos play the Bengals next week. Broncos then, 2 weeks later, play the Chargers. So they're going to be able to figure out a lot of things just with the head-to-head right there. But so you have the Colts, Bills, Browns, Bengals, and Broncos all at 7-6.
Yeah.
Quite the logjam.
And I would even say that, I know we touched on the Chargers at the opening. The Chargers have a free space on the board because they play the Texans. So you start looking at...
Broncos just got their free space.
Yes, the Broncos got their free space. You look, for example, at the Indianapolis Colts, and they have a free space at the end of the season against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So you start looking at, okay, where, and also, and then I have to look and see, does anyone play the Jets the rest of the way? Because that's another free space type of game.
Well, we're looking
Miami at 6-7. Buffalo at 7-6 plays the Jets too.
Okay.
Yep. And then right behind the Broncos, Mace just mentioned Miami at 6-7. You also have the Raiders at 6-7, and you have the Steelers at 6-1. So if the 5 teams wasn't enough, you add the Chargers to make it 6. Then you add those 3 teams, and we're talking 9 teams competing for 3 wild card spots. Right?
And the hottest one is Miami.
Everyone not named the Jets, the Jags, or the Texans is still in the race 13 weeks into the season.
Yeah, and that's not crazy to say. I mean, the Miami, they're 1 game back.
Yeah.
And they're the farthest down. Right now, Miami's the 13th seed, and they're 1 game back. And like Mace just said, too, they're the hottest team right now, which is so crazy. And when you're talking about free spaces, Mace, and we're kind of looking at who these teams play, guys, it's crazy to say, everyone in Denver should be a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan these next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I saw. So you obviously have been doing your playoff watch article every week, and we put out a graphic yesterday saying like, here's the teams you should be rooting for today, and the Chiefs were part of it. And people responded like, really, guys? The Chiefs? Root for the Chiefs? Is like, yeah, root for the Chiefs. They're gonna win the division. We already know that.
Root for the Patriots.
No, and here's why, guys. I want a free game in Week 18. And so I want the Chiefs to have the number 1 seed completely locked up so that it's a free game for the Broncos because the 3 games leading up to that are all against teams that we're talking about. They're all going to be very tough games. I think the Broncos can easily go 2-0 or 2-1 in these. 3-0 is going to be a tough task, but if you go 2-1 and then you're playing a Chiefs team that isn't playing for anything, you should beat them. And guys, you're 3-1, you're 10-7, you're making the playoffs.
But if you look at who the Patriots play down the stretch here, they, of course, this week play at Indianapolis, 7-6. They play Buffalo at home, 7-6. Free space, Jaguars, and then at Miami. So the first thing there is you want them to beat teams that are in the playoff race. If they were facing NFC teams, I'd be right there with you, Zach. But the first priority is getting a little bit of the ease of the logjam and having as many teams around the Broncos at 7-6, 6-1, 7-6.
Let me ask you this, Zach. Would you rather have Week 17 be against, or Week 18 be against the Chiefs trying? They're in the playoffs, but they have seeding on the line, and if the Broncos win, they are in guaranteed, or have it against Chiefs backups going into Week 18, but they're not in control of their own destiny. They need this team to lose, that team to lose to get in.
Yeah, you got to take care of yourself first, and that means playing a worse Chiefs team. And guys, if the Chiefs are playing for something, they're going to lose again. I mean, that's going to stink. I want the Broncos to be able to beat the teams that they need to beat. And I think that if we're talking about the Broncos legitimately having a chance in that Week 18 game to make the playoffs, they're going to go 2-1 in these next ones. And I think that, Macy, you bring up a good point there, but I think that other teams are going to fall out or the Broncos will be able to jump them because we're looking at two right here, the Chargers and the Bengals, who the Broncos play in this coming stretch. If the Broncos take care of business, they will jump them in the standings. Then they'll also have some tiebreakers. That'll also help their AFC record. And then so I don't think with 3 playoff spots open, and I think it's huge that it's 3 spots now, that you're going to have to worry too much about tiebreakers if you take care of your business. And taking care of your business against the Chiefs, to me, is the most important thing.
I mean, to me, the most important thing would be against the Bengals and the Chargers. If you beat those two teams, that, you're basically saying, I think you're basically saying if you beat the Raiders, you're in.
And you should beat the Raiders the way they look right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that Cincinnati and Chargers, I think, are legitimate coin flip games, as in 50-50. Could go one way, could go the other. The Raiders, even though you lost to them, that's a different team back in October than it was right now. That's a game that you go out to Las Vegas, you should expect to win that game.
Yeah, man, I hate that it's like a holiday game. There's just something about those road holiday games that have not treated the Broncos right.
I hate everything about that game. Even though, Mace, you're speaking logic now.
Yes.
The last time the Raiders saw the Broncos, they absolutely smashed them. I can't get that out of my head 100%. It is a little bit of a different team. They still have Derek Carr. So for me, guys, these next 3 games are really scary, but there's an opportunity for the Broncos to win all 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously starts this week. If you get this one, not only do you have a ton of positive momentum heading into that next week against the Raiders, but you also, I just think, like, we talked about it last night on the show, there's like a little bit of a chasm between the fan base and the team right now. And if you win this game, the whole city is like behind you for this playoff push. And I think that makes a difference. It's not a huge crazy thing, but I think those guys can feel it. Even the little things like Melvin Gordon making that comment shows me like I don't know if they fully feel beloved right now. And I'm also on the side of the fans here who aren't ready to emotionally expose themselves to it for this team who has dropped their 2 best opportunities to get them on board so far. We talked about it last night. They had that chance in the Ravens game. They had that chance in the Chiefs game. If you win those games, it's Bronco mania all over again in Denver. They dropped them, and they weren't even really that competitive in those 2 games. So now you have a 3rd chance here, and I think 3 strikes and you're out. But if you get this one, I think you reverse everything. People will get on board, and I think that will help their momentum as they move forward.
I'm surprised, though, that the Cowboys win didn't do that, though. Because the Cowboys win was kind of the equivalent of the Raiders and Chiefs games, roughly, right? You're facing a really good team. In that case, on the road,
it was more about the implications, like going 4-0 with a win over a great team in the Ravens, or what we thought at the time was a great team in the Ravens. And then the other one was for first place in the division. So it was like the stakes were really high. Whereas
we knew that going into the games. Whereas the Cowboys game, everyone was blown away by the outcome.
And they were fighting to get support back at that point, right? Like the people weren't on the fence. That got them back to the fence.
And then they fell off the fence when they lost to Philadelphia.
Yes, exactly.
I get it at 3-0, especially this year, beating bad teams if you're not fully buying into the team. You're 7-6 in the middle of a playoff. Why aren't you buying in? I mean, that's like being on The Bachelor, right? And maybe after the first date, you're not totally bought in. You're like, okay, I get it. There's 15 other people that this girl has kissed tonight. I'm not totally bought in, not letting my heart get broken. But then you go for the final rose ceremony, and you're about to propose.
No,
and
you're like at hometowns right now.
Okay, you're at hometowns, and you're not bought in yet. I mean, well, you buy in now. Now's the time.
They're there for the wrong reasons.
Apparently.
The Broncos are 3-2 against teams currently in the playoffs.
Love that.
Let's not bring in teams in the hunt because then it's like
then it dropped
like 3-6
because they start taking the Pittsburgh and you have Philadelphia
Raiders,
and then you have the Raiders and then you have the Browns. But for teams on the right side of the playoff line, a winning record is a winning record.
I just think that the fan base, and it honestly, just the team hasn't passed the eye test. You know, they don't.
And I just can't believe we're at that point now, especially just that's kind of the negative comments over the past 16 hours is, well, they're not passing the eye test. Teddy isn't passing the eye test. The running game isn't passing the eye test. This team is not
The
perfect.
running game definitely passes. The eye
I'm
test.
sorry,
Yes.
the run defense doesn't
Okay.
pass the eye. And this team is not perfect. There's a reason they're on the outside looking in right now. But from where we've been, I mean, maybe everyone's standards are still Super Bowl or bust. My standards have certainly changed in these past 5 years, and it's not something that I wanted to happen, but that's just the reality. The Broncos are winning. To me, I feel like people were, after this win, were just thrown right back into like 2013 Peyton Manning when they win by 11 instead of 24, and people are like, disappointing. They didn't pass the eye test.
They won by 28.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's exactly my point. It's wild to me, guys,
and
and obviously that's got on my nerves these past 16
Were they
hours.
supposed to try to win by 45 or 50? I mean,
I think it's really important to point out, no one's talking about, like, we overlooked the Lions so much, and everyone did. But look at the Lions 4 games before they played the Broncos. A tie with the Steelers. They lose by 3 to the Lions. They lose by 2 to the Bears, and they lose by 2 to the Vikings.
Wait, you said they lose by 3 to the Lions.
They lose by 3 to the Browns.
That's a good team.
So they tied the Steelers, lost by 3 points to the Browns, 2 points to the Bears, and then they beat the Vikings by 2 points. Sorry, I said that even wrong.
Of course, those were Lions teams that had more players at their disposal than yesterday. But I think part of it with yesterday was that they had the COVID absences at the last minute. They didn't have T.J. Hawkinson. I mean, look, that was a talentless team out there. I'm not sure in all my years of covering football that I've seen an NFL team in a regular season game that had less talent on the field than the Lions. And you know what? You beat their brains out.
Yeah.
But
that was what you were supposed to do.
It's also the Lions' second most lopsided loss of the season.
Yeah.
So again,
Who beat them worse?
the Eagles, 44-6.
Wow. Beat down.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the score of the Bengals game? Was that 28?
34-11.
30. Oh,
Broncos
because it was
won out
34-3 forever. So the late touchdown.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean,
in that game,
again, I'm not saying give them extra credit for beating the Lions.
Yeah.
But the Lions, and again, it wasn't the same Lions that have been competitive over the last 4 weeks, but it just wasn't a given. So I feel like it was just like people expect them to win by 28. I didn't.
I didn't either.
I had them winning by 24,
I
but
win by 13.
So I don't know. I understand where you guys are coming from, saying like, got to appreciate this, but they don't pass the eye test. They haven't been in like a tight situation in a really important game and outplayed the other team in that situation. In fact, the Broncos have kind of had a weird season where there haven't been. Has there been any game that came down to the last possession? I don't think so.
yeah, you can't really say the Browns
No.
game because the Browns were Pittsburgh. Remember, they had a chance to tie. End of regulation.
And that one one felt gimmicky. I mean, you're right, Mace. They did have a chance to tie, but still, they were out of it for so long. Pittsburgh let off the gas. But yeah,
They were-
Washington went down to the last possession.
Okay, all right. So there's been a few.
Yeah.
But the Steelers one, they didn't pass that test. The Washington one, I mean, that was just like a battle of who's going to screw up less, and the Broncos won the battle. Good for them. But they haven't gotten into a really like. They just they haven't proved to me that, or to anyone, that if push comes to shove and they need a 2-minute drive or they need a stop on a 2-minute drive, that they can get that stop or they can get that touchdown. And I think it's just part of why people
Even
are
though the
afraid to get
defense
burned.
literally did it twice against Washington. They did it, and then the offense, and then Gordon fumbled, and then they had to do it again, and they did.
I mean, no one left that game with a good taste in their mouth.
I know, but people are thinking more about the mismanagement and the poor execution of the 4-minute offense there at the end, rather than what the defense did.
It's weird to
and
say.
yet you look at what Washington has done since, and you say, you know what? Getting 2 stops against Washington at the end, given what they turned around and did in the weeks after that, it's pretty good when you think about it.
It's weird to say, but had they, instead of blowing out the Cowboys and Chargers, had one of those games been a dogfight and the Broncos came out on top, I think people would feel better about the team.
Yeah.
Maybe. And guys, I want to get into the DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week right now because I'm going with what I'm going to call the Broncos playoff teaser here. And what we're looking at, guys, we have some great games coming up. Thursday Night Football, we got Saturday Football, we got 2 games of Saturday Football, and they all have playoff implications for the Broncos. So might as well put some money on them. And what I'm doing, I'm throwing the Chiefs in a teaser. I'm throwing the Raiders in a teaser, and I'm throwing the Patriots in a teaser. And what we're doing is we're buying the points up in this to get it plus 130. So what you end up with is Raiders plus 13 because we want the Browns to lose. Now, that one's kind of a win-win situation for the Broncos. If the Raiders lose, they're pretty much out of the playoff contention. Yeah. But you get to play the Raiders again. You have an opportunity to beat them. The Browns have a tiebreaker on you. So let's bring the Browns down a little bit and jump the Browns in the standings. So Raiders plus 13. I like that. Patriots playing the Colts. You want the Colts to lose right now. So have the Colts lose, and then you have the Patriots at plus 9, and then you have the Chiefs. They're at minus 4 right now, playing Thursday Night Football against the Chargers. I'm buying 7 points on them. You get them plus 3 against the Chargers. You tease all that together, you're at plus 130, and you're feeling good about the Broncos playoff odds.
That you got me convinced. I'm feeling good about that bet. I like that.
Good, I like it. Hey, if I got the bets guy on it.
All right. Speaking of bets, this will be my pick of the night tonight for that. It'll be my pick of the week here. Arizona Cardinals, my Arizona Cardinals. And of course, Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, my guys. Hosting the LA Rams tonight. They crushed them earlier in the season. But more importantly, this is my stat of the day, favorite stat of the day. And it comes in from PHNX reporter Kirsten Susel, who says Matt Stafford has never in his career won a game against a team that came into the matchup with 10 or more wins.
How about that?
Never in his career. He's been playing a while. So give me Cardinals money line minus 155. Decent value there. They're the home team. They smacked them earlier in the season. They're the better team right now. I like the value there.
I'm liking that more and more, especially within the past hour we found out that Jalen Ramsey isn't playing tonight. That really helps you there. I was uncertain on this game, but now I am very much leaning toward the Cards.
So if the Rams lose this game tonight, what does that take Von Miller's personal record to in games that he's played?
They got to win last
3 and
week,
4.
Right?
Let's see, because he missed the Washington.
I believe
game.
it's 4.
So
3 and 4.
4 and 8.
Yeah, 3 and 4, 3 and 6, 3 and 6. Yeah. Wow, it would actually be 4 and 7.
4 and 7
for the games he's played.
Oh, okay, right.
For the games he's played, 4 and 7.
There was one loss with the Broncos when he was.
So it'd be 4 and 8 with teams that he's been with. Yikes!
Yes.
Oh my good. Now did Von get? No, Von didn't get 2 buys. Did Von even get a buy this year? Do the Rams have a buy after they acquired? That would be the worst. To be 4 and 8 on the losing side of home teams and not get a bye.
They did have a bye.
Okay.
Between the Niners game and the Packers game.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm going away from pro football for my pick. It's bowl season, by the way, starting this weekend. Maybe a really interesting matchup: Boca Raton Bowl on Saturday. Western Kentucky and App State, two good Group of 5 programs. App State 3-point favorite. App State gives up only 19 points a game against Western Kentucky, which allows 43. So maybe the best defense that Western has faced this season.
They allow 43 points per game.
Or Western scores 43.
Oh, okay.
App allows 19. So it's the biggest defensive challenge you can say that Western has faced this season. I'm going to go with the defense in this one. App's going to cover the 3-point spread.
Defense usually gets the advantage in bowl games just because you have a month to study what the other team's doing on offense throughout the season. So I like that pick. I also will just caution when you're betting bowl games, which I really don't like doing. You have to figure out why if one team has motivation. Like if you can find a team that's trying to prove something, or they were snubbed, or they feel like this, that, or the other thing. Those are the teams I like to bet on. Otherwise, you just never know. Like, are those kids down there to win a game, or are they just down there to enjoy like Disney World or wherever else they are? And I've seen it firsthand when a team is not down there to win the game, and it's not pretty.
And what's the state of the coaching staff?
Right.
Man, I think it was a few years ago that I want to say it was Cincinnati that was in the Belk Bowl, and they had like 4 coaches. for the game.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
So
yikes!
I mean, there's only so much that you can do.
we still have the
with
Belk
4
Bowl?
coach. It is now the Duke's Mayonnaise
Mayo.
Bowl.
Oh my gosh, ridiculous. So Ryan, which CU Buffs team was that?
You could probably look up the scores. I mean,
Probably.
we're talking about bowls in my lifetime. There's really not that.
Well, didn't you just say Florida?
No, I did. Well, I did say Disney World, but that
Yeah,
was just, I was just making.
Okay, because there was a bowl I think there was a bowl that did go down to Orlando.
Potentially, I
And
know
lost.
they played Wisconsin in one of those bowl games.
That's the Mace Arcade Bowl right
Yeah.
there. Right there. And if you want to get in on all this action, guys, DraftKings is offering a great way to get in. If you bet $1 on any NFL game this week, you'll get $100 in free bets. If there's a point scored in the game, that's all you need. A point scored in the game, you bet $1, you get $100 in free bets. Then you can bet on bowl games without any risk. You can bet on my crazy teaser without any risk. You can bet on tonight's game with Ryan without any risk. So head to the App Store now, download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and use promo code DNVR when you sign up to turn $1 into $100. That's promo code DNVR over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
2005 Champs Sports Bowl, by the way. That was Orlando. They lost 19-10 to Clemson.
Clemson.
I knew they'd gone down to Orlando once.
There you go. Yeah, it wasn't that one.
My guess is a little more recent.
More competitive.
But that was but that was also I don't think Gary Barnett coached that game because he got dismissed right before.
Yep.
And then the next year was Dan Hawkins.
Miss
So
Dan Hawkins?
again, another example, but another example of a team that had some coaching chaos going on
Yep.
at the moment.
Dan Hawkins made a bowl game, which is something that I guess only 2 other coaches since him can say.
Does it count if you were in Shreveport for the bowl though?
Against Alabama.
Yeah, how about
Yeah.
that?
2 programs going in severely different
Saban's
directions.
first season.
Yep. Buffs almost had a miraculous comeback in that game. I remember that. All right. Also, come down, hang out at the bar. You know, you want to get some action tonight on the Nuggets. The Nuggets will be in action against the Wizards tonight. Come down here, place a couple bets, have a couple Breck brews, get you a Wagyu burger. That's a good night. That is a good way to spend your Monday night because you'll have the Nuggets game on one screen, Monday Night Football on another screen. Last night, I kind of got the comparable to that, which was Sunday Night Football on one screen, which what a game. I mean, that game was crazy.
Yeah.
And then you had Avs-Panthers on the other screen, and that was as electric of a regular season hockey game I've ever seen. I mean,
Really was.
I was sitting there with you, just awestruck. I was like, Zach, this game is insane. I don't know. I don't even know what's going on. How is it moving so fast?
Dare we say possible finals preview?
We can only hope.
I hope not because the Panthers are you should bleep off and die in my opinion, but I'm a Lightning fan.
Things got chippy at the end there,
Yeah.
so I'm with
Yeah.
Oh, they have a history of being dirty.
you. Nice.
I could say some really nasty things that would involve a lot of curse words right now regarding my feelings about the Florida Panthers, but I'm not going to.
I like that. If you want to be surrounded by people who would say nasty things about teams they don't like, you come down to the DNVR Bar. You'll meet lots of people like that, so come hang out.
All right. And also, if you are looking for a better job, looking to kind of change your life a little bit, check out the positions over at Ball. Of course, they've got their plant over in Golden. Ordinarily, I'd have an aluminum can right here, but for some reason, I have a paper cup here, so I'm sorry about that. But ordinarily, I'd be sitting here with an aluminum can espousing aluminum, which is something that they make over at Ball. That's something that Ball specializes in. Right now, at their aluminum can plant in Golden, they are looking for production technicians. If you want to read the full description of the positions available, go to jobs.ball.com and search for Golden. Production techs are on the front line of the aluminum beverage can production process at Ball's plant. And Ball will start you off with a wage of $27.39 per hour, quite competitive, with the potential for increases at 6, 12, and 18 months on the job. You'll get benefits right away. You chance to buy stock right away. All the benefits kick in on day one when you join Ball. And then, of course, you have the chance, if you do well, to move to other positions at the plant. There are other manufacturing opportunities, even a chance to go into management because some production techs have moved up into management over over at Ball. Here's what a production tech does. It's responsible for machine adjustments on high-speed production equipment and is an integral part of the production team, both in quality and meeting operational goals for volume. Like I said, full-time role with benefits, stock options, 401k for retirement, insurance active on the day of the hire. These are all the benefits you have of working for a great company like Ball. So if you want to get in and see if your career path will take you to a place like Ball where you can, as they say, be unstoppable like Zach Julie, text Golden to 77222 and get linked to open positions, or go to jobs.ball.com and search for Golden. That's jobs.ball.com, search for Golden, or text Golden to 77222 to be unstoppable at Ball.
All right.
Or unstoppable.
Exactly. All right, guys. We've talked a little bit about these 5 teams tied at 7 and 6. Zach, do you have the numbers in front of you in terms of the rankings of strength of schedule remaining?
Yes, I have the records of the schedule of the teams that they're going to play, and guys, it certainly doesn't
favor
look
the Broncos.
good
Yeah,
for the Broncos. The good news is Broncos don't have the toughest strength of schedule of these 7-6 teams. The Bengals do. Maybe because they have to play the Broncos. Bengals
Partly.
play teams with a 31-21 combined record. That is tough.
Over a
right
4-game
there.
stretch, that's a really tough,
Yeah,
really
and they
tough
go
group.
they go Broncos, Ravens, Chiefs, Browns.
Good news for the Broncos that the Chiefs
2-2.
not in the last game of the season, so the Chiefs are going to be playing for something.
Yeah.
Man, 2-2 at best, and man, if the Broncos beat them, I think the Browns are done, or the Bengals.
Yeah, that game yesterday. I mean, that was
Yeah.
the one that they let slip, and really, I mean, ultimately, you can blame that on the defense.
Yeah,
And Joe Burrow, despite his injury, did what you expect a great young quarterback to do. Led his team down, had the game-tying touchdown pass to Jamar Chase, and they got the field goal in the opening series of overtime.
Yeah,
That
but
ought to be enough. But yeah, he got the score. That ought to be enough to where you expect to win.
they go how far? What was it? A few minutes into the fourth quarter with 6 points.
Yeah.
That's not going to get the job done. Although you are playing the Broncos this week, so
Hey, whoa, watch yourself.
they're the 38-point Broncos.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just saying, like, I could see a slugfest where less than 20 points might be able to get this done.
But the thing with the Bengals is, and we'll get more into it as the week goes on, they're the most Jekyll and Hyde team in the league, you can argue.
Yeah.
And what we've seen the last 2 games is we've seen Jekyll and Hyde in the same game. For a while we were seeing, they'll have a blowout or they'll get blown out. The last 2 weeks we see them start catastrophically bad against the Chargers, get back in the game in the middle portion of the game in the third quarter, and then melt down again. Yesterday, like you mentioned, they fall behind 20-6. They look awful. They put it together for the last 15 minutes and the first few minutes of overtime. So which Bengals team are you going to get? You're seeing both Bengals teams in the same game now, which I think then leads the Broncos to know that they need to kind of just be steady as they go.
So, Mace, with the Bengals, they're playing. All 4 opponents have winning records?
Yes.
Yep. The Broncos, guys, they're one step below that. They have a 30-22 record of their next opponents, which is just 1 game easier than the Bengals. I guess the one good thing is one of the teams has a losing record in the Raiders, but of course, they're competitive. We know that they can beat the Broncos.
Here's what I will say, and this is, the spin machine take of the day, is by playing these good teams, you get the opportunity to jump teams that you're, competing with.
Yeah.
And so you can get double wins. A win over the Bengals this week is a double win. You win and you get a loss of the team you're competing with for a playoff spot. A win over the Chargers would be a double, maybe even a triple win, but the division doesn't really matter anymore. So really just a double win. Well, for tiebreakers.
For tiebreakers, It does, because imagine, let's say the Chargers lose this game to the Chiefs on Thursday night. The Broncos would then have the opportunity, even if they could even lose to the Raiders, but they could get that back by beating the Chargers, and they have the head-to-head advantage because they would have swept them.
Yep.
And if the Broncos, let's say the Broncos beat the Bengals and the Chargers lose to the Chiefs, and then they both take care of business the following week. Chargers play Houston, Denver plays the Raiders. Then if the Broncos beat the Chargers on January 2nd, the Chargers can't pass the Broncos.
Right.
If they're together, just the 2 of them in a tiebreak. The Chargers would be 1 game back. That scenario, guys, if that happens, the Broncos won the next 3. I don't think you'd be all that worried about the last game.
Right. It's very possible. Here's one thing I just wanted to point out, and I think it's the number one thing we should be looking at going into these matchups moving forward. The Bengals, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th best rushing defense in the NFL. So you're probably going to need a little bit more from Teddy this week. And I think you'd be crazy to say that doesn't scare you a little bit.
That's not what the Broncos have done these past 3 games. They've relied on the run, and, it's going to be tougher, but I hope the Broncos stick with what they've done. Guys, I detailed it on a piece on DNVR.com about why you shouldn't be scared, worried about the Broncos passing game yet. Since the bye week, they've done something that Broncos fans have been screaming for years. They've averaged 27 pass attempts per game, and they've averaged 34 rushing attempts per game. I mean, when we've talked about Phillip Lindsay, Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams, Royce Freeman even going that way, we've talked about get the ball to these guys more, make it 50-50. Now, what Pat Shurmur has done, he's made it over 50-50, but significantly, 34-27, and that, guys, to me, is the Broncos' shot to the playoffs. So even if it is against a tough run defense, like you mentioned, Ryan, the Broncos are going to have to win on the ground, or you know what? Probably not going to win at all.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have to find a way to make the running game work. But if you're going into it thinking that you're going to be able to run all over them, you're probably going to have a bad time.
But that's what this team, that's this team's identity now, 100%.
All right.
Run the ball.
You're going to need Teddy. You're going to need Teddy to make some plays.
We've seen Teddy play well, though, this year.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying he's not capable.
Vic seemed a little bit prickly today, though, when it was brought up that, hey, you're not passing the ball as much. Like, well, early in the season, you want us to run the ball more. Now you want us to pass the ball more.
Yeah, I think Vic was kind of feeling like me at the beginning of the show by saying, fans are just never happy, are they?
Who's not happy? I don't understand. What was the question?
Lots of people not happy just from the comments. I will say that.
Yeah, it was
exactly.
brought up about how hey, you want to get the passing game going. I forget who asked it, and then Vic's kind of and I can't.
I'm with Vic on that.
I can't blame Vic for feeling that way. I'm sorry.
You're with Vic?
I'm with Vic on saying, what do you want? We're running the ball and beating teams.
And guys, they're averaging 25 points per game these past 3 games on the offensive side of the ball, and that is 4 more points than their season average. If this team gets 25 points per game going forward, they should go 3-1. They should make the playoffs.
At least.
So that's why, to me, yes, Teddy Bridgewater is not being asked to do it all, and you know what? Shockingly, he's not doing it all because he's not being asked to do it all.
He shouldn't be asked to. He shouldn't try to.
So why are we upset about this? We don't
I'm
want
not.
him to. He shouldn't be, and he's not.
Yeah, take the ball out of the hands of your very average quarterback. That makes sense to me.
So what are we upset about?
And put it in the hands of your very above average running backs. Now, I think the one thing you can say is when they do pass the ball, you'd like to see them involve the wide receivers more, which is kind of the thrust of what I wrote on Saturday. That, all right, I'm not saying that they need to all of a sudden become a passing team, but you'd like to see a little bit higher percentage of those passes go to the receivers. Particularly, you'd like to see Cortland Sutton get a couple more chances.
I will agree with the fact that you just paid all these guys all this money, and I think that's the number one. It's weird how much fans care about money, but they really do.
Money is the best way to determine how the team views the value of the player.
I would guess that behind closed doors, George Payton made those signings not thinking about this season at all.
I mean, that's what the contracts are based on. It's not a huge amount of money this year. But we know that it's not just, okay, we want a quarterback, so we're going to go get one. The Broncos have tried that the past 5 years. You're not guaranteed one. So seeing what these guys are like right now with very average quarterback play, it does scare me. What were you doing dumping all that money in? And, of course, if they go out and get an elite quarterback, they're going to look great. If they get a rookie quarterback and that rookie quarterback comes in and he can throw the ball to these wide receivers, it's going to look great. But there's no guarantee. People are just, Ryan, I've heard people say what you say, but they take it as like, so there's still really good signings because they're guaranteed to get a quarterback. No, the Broncos are not guaranteed to get a quarterback next year.
But
Can we implant a healthy knee into Carson Strong?
It'd be nice.
It would be
but
nice.
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? What I would say is, George Payton's defense of that probably would be, or something along the lines of this. What do people say as like if you're trying to detract from what Patrick Mahomes has done, you would say something along the lines of, well, yeah, of course he succeeded. He went to a team that was already a playoff team. They had Andy Reid as their coach, who's an offensive genius, and he got to play with Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And so you're also trying to create, for lack of a better term, an incubator for whatever quarterback you bring in, to bring them into a nice situation to help them grow if it's a young guy, or, of course, to help attract a Russell Wilson who apparently is cool with coming to Denver.
Yeah, that's fair. But now tell me, can you guys name me the wide receivers of the New England Patriots?
N'Keal Harry.
Yeah, I was going to say N'Keal Harry.
How good is
You've
he?
got the guy who...
The guy that
Jacoby Myers.
still wants to be traded?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is that it? Those are the big-time names?
Hunter Henry is basically their best wide receiver.
Exactly.
Yes.
But, guys, that's my point, is it's not like you have to have these. And, again, I'm not saying they're bad contracts now, but... Boy, there's been so much put on these guys right now, especially Teddy's shoulders of, well, he is so mismanaging Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick. Those expectations, people just started coming out with those after they got the paycheck. Teddy Bridgewater helped them get paid. He didn't give them the paycheck. You know what I'm saying? And I think it may not, I mean, it is on Teddy. It is on Pat. It is on the wide receivers. But I think in games when Jerry Jeudy plays, Cortland Sutton has 11 catches.
Yeah. When
11.
Judy's clearly the wide receiver one in Teddy's eyes.
It's not even close.
As he should be in my eyes. And honestly, those two still haven't clicked.
No.
Jerry
And we
Jeudy
have
only
a
has
comment
33
about that.
catches this year.
Yeah.
Now, again, he was hurt for a while. So it's hard to figure it out. He's averaging about 5 catches a game, which is a pretty damn good number, on pace for what it would have been, like 80.
Yeah.
So that's a solid season for him. But Teddy isn't clicking with any of those guys, really. I mean, I don't think you can make the case that he is. I think that he looks for
Noah Fant.
he looks for Tim
Clicking with
Patrick.
Albert O.
Exactly.
He looks for Tim Patrick. He looks for Jerry Jeudy on third downs. He looks for Noah Fant when he's standing 2 yards from the line of scrimmage on third down.
Hey, you
Although I'd
got to
like
take
to
that back
see-
after yesterday.
I
No,
want
I don't.
to. I
He
want to
had
see
32
more of
yards.
that
got
yesterday.
12
from
games
yesterday.
of one sample,
Yes.
one game of the
I
other.
want to see more of that.
I'd love to see more of that.
Yeah.
I said it on the show yesterday. Why do you have a 6'5", 250-pound guy that can run a 4.5 if you're not trying to run him down the field? Because you know what? His change of direction, if we were looking at his Madden ratings, which I don't know what they actually are, but based on the way that he moves out there, his change of direction isn't great. But when he gets a head of steam,
Right.
he moves, man. So get him the ball when he already has a head of steam. Don't give him the ball standing still and hope he gets a head of steam.
We just hit like 5 topics. I absolutely love it. But should we look at other teams'
Yes,
records
sure.
these
Strength
next
of
couple of
schedule.
games?
Sure.
So the Browns also right there clustered with the Broncos and Bengals. They're 29, 22, and 1 throughout the way. So just right in there with another really tough schedule.
Yeah. The Browns, I mean, I really don't look at them as a part of this group.
I mean, yes,
As a contender.
Really,
they got
'cause-
up 10-0, I think. Was it 14-0, 10-0 on the Lamar Jackson-led Ravens? And then they let the backup Ravens
Tyler
come
Huntley.
back. Tyler Huntley, and almost beat them.
But they also play the Raiders on Saturday. And so at home, you expect they're going to win that game the way the Raiders are trending, right? If Cleveland wins that, they're 8-6.
So that means things get tougher for them after that
They
game.
play at Green Bay, at Pittsburgh, Cincinnati at home. Well, we talked about Cincinnati. What if they're fading a little bit?
Yeah.
And then Pittsburgh, is that basically a coin flip game? Probably. So, unfortunately, that means the Browns, you're probably talking about them being 9-8 or 10-7, and the Browns are a team you don't want to see in a tiebreaker if you're the Broncos.
Yeah, for sure. Baker is so hurt, and it feels like it's holding that offense back a lot. Teams are able to stack the box against their run, and while they have an incredible run game, it's really hard to overcome that for teams.
They're
Kareem
also-
Hunt is
yeah.
now hurt, too.
Yeah. And there are also signs of unhappiness. I think Mary Kay Cabot and the Cleveland Plain Dealer kind of wrote a piece today about just some of the issues and some of the frustrations that Baker Mayfield is having, which can then lead to an off-season topic.
Yep.
If you can't get Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, do you try to get Baker Mayfield?
Yep, that'll be a topic for sure. All right, guys.
The Cheshire Cat grin on your face.
I'm just trying to
Baker guy.
I love Baker, but
But
I'm
is the
worried
big
about
thing.
Baker.
Yeah,
I am too.
And also, you're not paying Baker $12 million, guys. You're paying him a ton of money. All right, guys, next team, Colts. 27-24. They're getting close to 500. They are pretty far away from where the Broncos sit at 30-22. I shouldn't say pretty far, but that just seems a lot easier.
Yeah, and I like the way the Colts play.
I do too.
That feels like a team that isn't going to be asking a bunch. Like, their formula works down the stretch.
Right.
Obviously, they have the best active running back in the NFL.
Shout
right
out
now.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, shout out Derrick Henry. Carson Wentz, when you don't ask him to do a lot, which we're finding out that, especially in the last few years, the Eagles were doing it all wrong. They were asking him to do everything. The Colts said, we'll just ask him to do nothing. And he's really good at that. And obviously you get that play action working. He has a great arm. He can get out there on the bootlegs and stuff like that. He's good at doing certain things. He's really good at doing certain things. And then, I think their defense is respectable enough to keep them in this thing. So
Absolutely fascinating game on Saturday when they host the Patriots.
Yeah, and
by the way,
and Mesa, I'm there with you. This week you are going to be cheering for the Patriots. I just mean that maybe after this, then you want the Patriots to go 0-3 after this.
That's
Because the Patriots right now are tied with the Chiefs. So it's not like you need the Patriots to lose out for the Chiefs to capture that. But yeah, this week you want the Colts to lose because, guys, they may be the best overall team that we're talking about.
You at all worried about Mac Jones in the elements as winter falls upon us?
Didn't we see the worst elements a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
And how'd the Patriots look?
The Patriots were fine, but that was a little bit different.
Mac Jones, he, as RK would say, plane pilot. Mac Jones was a passenger. He wasn't only just the pilot. He was sitting back in 24F.
And that's and you know what? He did a damn good
I
job
didn't
in
ask
20.
if you're worried about the Patriots. I asked if you're worried at all about Mac Jones.
Well, no, of course I'm not. Of course I'm not worried about Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is going to be total. I can't believe people are still, and it's not just you, Ryan, but I heard people today still doubting Mac Jones.
I'm worried about what he's going to do when he's never seen snow before until last week.
Well,
he plays in Foxborough.
I would also say this. I think
It's going to be fine.
if Buffalo had adjusted more quickly and if Matt Breida hadn't fumbled, Buffalo, I think, lost that game when they played the Patriots on Monday night.
Either
So,
way, that
yeah.
game is such a aberration.
New England looks like the type of team they're going to, let's say they get that 1 or 2 seed. They'll get in the playoffs, but I think they won't have enough. Not this
doubt,
year.
more doubt.
Maybe in the future, but not this year.
I'll doubt the hell out of them publicly. There's no way they win the Super Bowl.
So the Colts, by the way.
Oh, well, come on. That's not that tough. I mean, guys, and we were talking about this at Broncos today. There's some legit Super Bowl contenders in the NFC. In the AFC, to me, it's Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, come on. Who's going to compete with them? Because the team that would compete with them is the New England Patriots. And I'm not doubting Mac Jones when I say as a rookie, I don't think he's going to carry the Patriots to the Super Bowl.
It's not even to me that much about Mac. It's really about just that team is they don't have a lot of talent. They're obviously extremely well coached. And that can take you a really long way. But when you go up against some of the best teams, like if they were to take on the Chiefs, the talent disparity there would be massive.
That's what I'm saying. There's one team. I mean, do you guys trust the Ravens from what we've seen?
I've been saying this for a while now. I think every team in the NFL is super average, and what that's going to do is allow the best quarterbacks, to take their teams.
Do you think the Chiefs are super average?
They're definitely above average
Right now.
Yeah, I think they're taking off. And guys, speaking of that Bills team, guys, they have a really easy record. They're going 23-19 in their final 4 games. The only one of these teams that has a losing record, and we can even include
winning record.
19-23?
No, 23-29.
Okay.
Are the teams that they're playing, losing record that they get to play. The Chargers have to play a winning record as well, even though they're not in that 7-6 group. So the Bills, but guys, the Bills at the same time, will they have the easiest path? They may be the one trending in the worst direction.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to see now. I think it's starting to catch up with them that they literally don't run the ball. I mean, you pointed it out yesterday in the first half. Zero rushing attempts in the first half of their game yesterday. As much as we all want to see teams throw the ball around, we have to keep in mind that it is a phase of the game that is important. Brandon Staley, I think, said it best. When he was asked earlier this season, you have to run the ball. It's almost like a chore.
Right.
You have to do it. to keep the other team honest, to set things up, to make sure those teams play you honest. The Bills, no one has to play them honest at all. And in fact, you can just sit back and wait for them.
Their best runner's Josh Allen.
Right, but you can just sit back and wait for them and say, like, okay, congratulations, you ran it for 6 yards. We know you don't have it in you to keep doing this.
Yeah. Melvin Gordon makes so much sense there.
I said that this morning to somebody. Like,
Yeah,
the
just a
Bills,
really good
they don't
running
have a
back.
huge amount of space, but if you're looking like what is the biggest improvement they could make to that team, if you had Melvin Gordon on that Bills team this year, I think they have 3 more wins. Just with him.
But you have to still give the guy the ball.
Oh, right, exactly.
But he's
yeah.
proven that that he's trustworthy, that you'll keep giving him the ball.
Yeah, but like it's not like Devin Singletary has done anything wrong or Zach Moss. Like they just don't give it to him ever.
It's crazy. Yeah. 0 rushing attempts in the first half for the Bills yesterday. Wild.
And maybe they've coughed the ball up a couple times. I don't know. But to me, it has a lot less to do with them not having a running back that they like, and more to do with the fact that they don't like running the ball.
Yeah, they certainly don't. And guys, when we look at their really tough schedule coming up, I'm trying to. Oh, I just lost it. Or really easy schedule. The good thing is when we talk about these teams, the good thing is, guys, the Broncos don't have to beat all of them out. They just have to be one of the top 3 among these 6.
And that's really encouraging to me, especially because, again, while the schedule is tough, you have it all in front of you.
Yeah.
You could. I don't know if you can say this, but it's at least close to the point where if the Broncos control their own destiny, if they win out,
They do. They do. They control their own destiny, and they really should be fine going 3-1 down the stretch here.
People get really mad when you say control your own destiny. I don't remember why, but that comes up
Because
every
destiny is something that
you
that
can't
by
control.
definition you can't control.
year. But that's the point of the saying. It's like they're in control now.
So you're
They control their fate. Is that better? Was that what
I
people
usually
would
say
prefer?
fate. I usually say fate.
Oh, okay. They control their own fate.
This is these
I like
semantics
control their
people.
own destiny.
Hey, I like it too.
It
It's
sounds
powerful.
better. It sounds
Yeah.
more poetic.
Right. That's.
Yeah.
I think that's the point
It's-
of whoever came up with that.
It's just like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again.
Which it absolutely is not.
I knew
the
that one got on
definition.
your nerves.
All right. Before we move on here, did we hit all the teams, right?
We did.
Okay.
We did.
Now we got to hit Hassel Cattle Company, the best Wagyu beef out there that every man or woman can afford. And even better is you can use the code DNVR15 to get 15% off your orders. I talked about this last night for a while. I get it. Ordering meat to be delivered to your house is just weird. And I thought it too. And I just got over it. And then I ordered my Hassel Cattle beef, and I realized that was a dumb thing to think was weird, because now you get great beef at a great price, and you absolutely love it. So get over whatever hesitation you have about it. Try it out. Use the code DNVR15 and go to HassleCattleCompany.com. And if you go over $200 on your order, which will get you a whole bunch of beef, you're gonna get free shipping. So maybe it's a Christmas gift for your pops or something along those lines. But trust me on this, you won't regret having meat delivered to your door.
Yeah, what do we say? Hashtag normalize air meat.
Yes, normalize air meat.
Normalize air meat and normalize going to the dentist. I think we've done a pretty good job normalizing that twice a year. And one thing we need to normalize here is go to Green Mountain Dental. Guys, Green Mountain Dental, the best damn family-owned dentistry in the Denver metro area. And they're only a 15-minute drive from downtown. And so make sure to check them out, because not only are they part of the DNVR family, not only will they treat you with a family-like approach, but also if you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam, you'll get a free Sonicare toothbrush. And all you have to do is schedule that cleaning, x-ray, and exam. You're going to go to a dentist anyways. Might as well go to Green Mountain Dental. Get that free Sonicare toothbrush when you check them out.
Also, we talk about getting your teeth cleaned. One of the reasons you want to get your teeth cleaned is because you're having good meals. Maybe you're having meals over that you're making from Hassel Cattle Company, or maybe you're having sexy pizza. There was plenty of sexy pizza over at the tailgate yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite kind of sexy pizza?
Man, they have this green chili one that is incredible, but also
frickin' good.
I'm a sucker for just a solid slice of sausage, and their sausage pizza is delicious.
The Triple S. Solid slice of sausage.
Solid
A
slice of
sucker
sausage.
for a solid slice of sausage.
Wow, that's a lot of S's.
That's what she said.
Wow.
Speaking of sexy pizza.
Wow.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, anyway, sexy pizza.
Speaking of sexy.
It's been around for 13 years in the Denver community. It's as local as it gets. It's a hand-tossed deck oven pizza with made from scratch each morning dough. They got a wide range of toppings, including pepperoni. I think I keep it simple. It's either cheese or pepperoni. RK likes the sausage, also the green chili. That's good stuff as well. I'm very Denver as well if you get some of the green chili on that. With a 12, 16, or 18-inch crust, sexy pizza is sure to be the right fit. And all the fixings, they've got wings, they've got salads, they've got pasta, they got garlic knots, they got dessert options. And if you're trying to go vegan, they've got vegan topping options as well. Vegan cheese, and of course, you want to go gluten-free, you can get gluten-free crust there as well. Stop by any of their Denver locations. They're in Capitol Hill, Old South Pearl, Jefferson Park, and in Park Hill. And coming soon, way outside Denver, down in Trinidad. So if you keep going south on I-25, almost the New Mexico border, you're going to be able to get some sexy pizza along the way. You know what? If you're driving to Albuquerque and they have the sexy pizza in Trinidad, that kind of breaks up the trip nicely.
Yeah.
You know, there's your lunch stop right there.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on
I'm
here.
hungry now.
I know.
Oh.
I'm actually starving. We got a couple super chats here before we hop into the comment section. We've got a lot of comments too, so let's work quick here. First one's from Cody W. Colts have a hard schedule. Bills looks easy.
Boom. Exactly.
Yeah.
You nailed it on the head, Cody.
Perfect. And then from Court Nelson here. If you told people before the season started that in the middle of December we would have the same record as the Bills and the Browns, people would be stoked.
Yeah.
This team is better than we give them credit for. I completely agree. It's
Boom,
just
Court.
weird. They're weirdly better than we give them credit for.
But if the Bills and Broncos played 10 times, how many would the Broncos win?
10.
I think right now, if you got them right now, I think it'd be close.
But the Bills at the same time just went down to Tampa against the Bucks, and yet they screwed around for most of the game, and they took it to overtime and could have easily won it in regulation.
Was that the game? I was watching it out of the corner of my eye.
The controversial PI calls and no calls.
I don't know about that,
Yeah.
but were they down deep, or was that the Bengals who were all the way down there and kicked a field goal in overtime?
Bengals kicked field goal in overtime.
Were they on like the 2-yard line?
They got I want to say the 10 or the 12.
Okay, all right.
And Nick Bosa had a sack of Joe Burrow that knocked the Bengals back. The Bills had a chance. They settled for a game-tying field goal at the end of regulation, but they had a chance
That's
to
what
win
it
it in
was.
regulation.
They were down on like the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have gone for it.
Guys,
They tried that against Tennessee, remember?
Oh yeah, you got to stick to who you are. You go for it late in games.
what this boils down to and why people aren't buying into the Broncos as much is because the quarterback and head coach aren't the big names. They're not the solidified names yet. Look at the Indianapolis Colts and the Buffalo Bills. They have their head coaches. Their quarterbacks, they have their quarterbacks. Even if the Broncos were getting 18 touchdowns to 17 interceptions from Josh Allen, and he was on this team, guys, people feel great about the Broncos right now, coming from where they have. But coming into this season, huge question marks about the quarterback position and massive question marks about the head coach. That's why there's no buy-in yet.
I also warned about this, and this is not a case for why the Broncos should be playing Drew Lock now. But I warned about this in the preseason, which is that people will get excited over the Broncos being decent if Drew Lock's the quarterback. They won't if Teddy Bridgewater's the quarterback. Is that fair? No. But in the eyes of the public, the book is written on Teddy Bridgewater. Even though he's playing out of his mind this year, it hasn't gotten the Broncos that far. And people, so he's already playing above what his perceived ceiling was before. It's not doing that much for them. People could always envision, even if it was delusional, a light at the end of the tunnel for a Drew Lock team. Again, there's no case for it now. But that was the case for it back then, which is that, hey, look, if the Broncos are going to be average, people would rather the Broncos be average with Drew Lock.
You think there's a latent bias toward guys who were drafted by the Broncos too?
Of course.
People love Javonte Williams. Melvin Gordon doesn't feel the same embrace.
Yep.
Right.
Speaking of, a couple things here. One, did you see what I posted about Javonte Williams?
No.
About his thigh pads?
No.
On his thigh pad, he has a picture of Michael Myers, which is just terrifying.
No, why?
I don't know, because he's a killer.
I'm surprised the NFL uniform code people haven't gotten on him.
I know. I'm worried that I'm going to get him caught for that tweet going like mini viral. And then the other one says not done, but on this one he has from Friday the 13th Michael Myers. I'm now calling Javonte Michael Thyers.
There we go. Love it.
But between the fact that he like doesn't really talk. Teddy, I think at one point said it's scary how calm he is.
Yep.
Now he's got a knife murderer on his leg. Javante's a scary dude, man. I don't know. I wouldn't want to tackle
Maybe
that
they
guy.
should start playing the Halloween theme whenever he has a big run.
That's amazing.
He buys into
Come on,
that.
let's go.
I'm all about it.
10-yard run.
Or just like when he's like walking out into the huddle.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh my gosh.
I know.
Yeah,
He's a
it's
scary
awesome.
dude.
That'd be great.
Also, like if you look at his Twitter picture, it's kind of creepy too.
It is, yes. You got to have a little crazy in you, don't you?
He does, and I think he's got just the right amount.
Yep, he does.
What is about North Carolina football that occasionally produces some absolutely frightening human beings?
Who's
Like
last?
on the football people. Remember Lawrence Taylor?
Well,
I think of
definitely
that, like
frightening.
people who are, I'm not saying frightening people, but on the football field,
yeah.
just
Right.
absolute terrors.
Yep.
In what
Really
they
good
do.
players.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like Javonte doesn't really talk shit. Like he doesn't do any of that stuff on the field, and like he's just, like you're tackling him, and you just see that thing. I don't know. I think that has a
Wow.
little intimidation factor. Also, other housekeeping note here. Did you hear that super timeouts are going national?
Oh, yeah? Are they?
Yes. Pardon my take today. Brought up the super timeout. They didn't directly credit me. They said someone on Twitter said that it's called a super timeout.
Wow.
So people are catching on to Vic Fangio's 4D chess strategy.
So a super timeout is a bad challenge.
A super timeout is when you just throw the red flag to get an extra long timeout.
How about that?
Give the team some rest. Works out great. Shout out to Vic for coming up with that one.
Shout out to naming it.
Thank you. All right, from Omaha here. You guys nailed it on the pod. We should all just sit back and enjoy this season for what it is. I look forward to looking back on this one and saying, remember when we crushed the Lions for DT? That was the year we finally got it turned around, and that was awesome. With that said, I was all for the fans booing Shermer's vanilla second quarter offense. It almost felt like someone got in his ear when they drove down to add 3 more before the half. That just felt very un-Pat-like, I will say. I think I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but it's like, maybe I was just talking about this down at the booth during the game. The point of the script is to see, are the plays that we think are going to work against this defense, do they work? And they did. They worked great.
Yep.
And then in the second quarter, he went away from them. It's that game flow thing that I talk about that is just, that can be so frustrating with Pat. Now, again, they end up going on to score 38 points, so he kind of figured it out there in the second half. But the second quarter, someone tweeted, like, I love stress-free wins for the Broncos. That was not stress-free. The second quarter was very stressful.
Yes, the second quarter is very stressful. And Omaha says someone got in Vic's ear to score 3 points at the end of the half. Or someone got in Pat's ear. That was Vic. So I know no one wants to give credit to Vic, but they ran that. They practiced that exact situation in practice last week, especially with Judy catching the ball in midfield and then Teddy running up and spiking it. They did that last week in practice, so it paid off.
You thought the second quarter was stressful?
Oh, yes.
Honestly,
10-0 run.
yeah, but I thought, okay, this is the best the Lions are going to do. Like there wasn't a moment where I thought the Broncos couldn't keep them at arm's length.
Well, they had the ball
They had the
twice
ball
to drive
take the
down
lead.
and take the lead.
Right, and
I
then-
was nervous.
And then they had the chance to tie the game, and then of course Shelby has the deflection. Once Shelby got that deflection to force him to settle for a field goal, honestly, I didn't worry the Broncos were going to lose the game, because I thought that moment was the line. If they could have tied the game there, I think that would have been the opening for the Lions. Once Shelby deflected that pass, I mean, basically that was kind of a turning point in the game.
Yeah, the fumble was really big too.
Yeah.
And obviously, you got to create turnovers in games, and those are always big game-changing plays. But I was definitely stressed. I was like,
I was too.
I've seen him step on the rake too many times.
Yes, no doubt. Next one from Lionel Hutz, attorney at law. Gentlemen, as I said before, thank you for helping through these very late and early nights with a newborn. An interesting question. Based on the round they were drafted in, which rookie has been the best value? P.S. RK and I have met. I'm friends with Ryan Green and was with CSU Media when he was at CU.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. Well, nice to meet you.
Go Rams.
No.
Stay with me.
Yeah, never. By the way, respect to them. That team is balling. I think
Yeah.
23 is too low for them.
Yeah, top 25 team. Let's go, baby.
All right, next one's from Bronco Oilers.
Wait, who's the best value rookie?
Oh, for the Broncos right now?
Yep.
Jonathan Cooper.
It has to be Jonathan Cooper.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in terms of offensive or in terms of like who's creating the most, you would definitely say Javonte. In terms of just like he's impacting that many plays.
Quinn Miners is good value though. They're end of the third round too.
In terms of irreplaceable, I mean, it doesn't work with the value, but Pat Surtain's pretty irreplaceable right now.
Yeah, I mean, I said this to you before we started the show yesterday. Get used to it. We didn't see much Pat Surtain today. It's going to be a big time theme for the Broncos for probably the next 10 years at least.
Exactly.
You don't know what to say about Pat Surtain because they didn't really go to him. Now, he did have 5 tackles yesterday, which kind of surprised me.
That's good, though. He's getting involved. He's getting involved when it's not coming at him.
Right.
You're seeing him get involved in the run as well. Now, some of that is because you saw some explosive runs.
I just can't believe he's already to the point where quarterbacks are just saying, you know what, I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, Jared Goff started. First pass was to Pat, and I said, oh, that's dicey.
Playing with fire.
Yeah.
Bronco Oilers, unless the rest of the year is an abject failure, keeping Vic would be the best thing for this team. He's got no charisma, questionable game management, struggles to take accountability, but he's average at worst. As long as we don't have quite literally the worst quarterback play in the league, we can be competitive in a tough division, even when we're not at our healthiest. 2, he's the only defensive mind that has consistently slowed down Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid. That's maybe the most valuable weapon in the AFC. 3, Peyton didn't see this as a rebuild, so why would he blow up the coaching continuity? If George can't get Russ or Aaron, he'll see a rookie-friendly situation with a strong defense, talented offense, with experience in the scheme, and a rare OC who has maximized his QBs and is still unlikely to get head coach interest.
Yeah, I mean, it's all great points, Bronco Oiler, and that's why I believe a winning record and Vic's back, certainly 10-7 and Vic's back. And I can't get past number 2, point 2. Vic does a pretty darn good job containing Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes.
I know, and you got to give him someone to go to battle with from an offensive quarterback standpoint. I joked with Mike Kliss's tweet the other day about how like Fangio hasn't had a chance against the Chiefs, which was an overreaction, but he has done his part as the defensive coordinator. He could do more as the head coach in terms of who he hires as the offensive coordinator, and George Payton can help him out with who he gets him at quarterback. But it is something that would be hard to let go. Because you watch, I mean, look at the Raiders yesterday. They give up 48 points to Mahomes. The Broncos have had some bad games against the Chiefs. Nothing that even resembles that.
And on top of it, if the Broncos do well and finish with a winning record, then Vic may be figuring it out as a head coach, even though people don't want to believe that. But guys, also, Vic's defense has been very underwhelming for what we expected the first 2 seasons. It's the second best defense in the NFL right now. So you can't discredit him for that. You got to give him credit for that. That's why you brought him here too. Second best defense.
Been a different defense in terms of production, really, since giving up 34 to the Raiders. Since that day, defense is giving up exactly 15 a game.
Yeah,
only the Chiefs and Patriots are better.
Justin Simmons that day talked about like miscommunication in the secondary, and it was just so mind-boggling. I think he even specifically said between him and Kareem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is like, what? How is that possible? Ever since then, you haven't seen those type of big breakdowns.
Typically, miscommunication is we don't know what we're doing. We're just not as good as you guys think. And it actually was miscommunication.
Yeah.
They figured it out.
And they've been doing this with kind of a constant shuffle of guys at inside linebacker, and even Vic kind of alluded to it today that they're giving up big runs. And he said, "Look, it really hasn't been quite the same since they lost Josie Jewell and Alexander Johnson early in the season."
Yep. And on top of that, Mace, no outside linebackers that are notable. I mean, Bradley Chubb, how many sacks does he have, guys?
0.
And how many does Von Miller have since they traded him? Zero. I mean, with the Broncos, I mean, they're doing this with a lot of guys that you would think are 3rd, 4th string guys.
Yeah.
Stephen Weatherly, the Rec Spec legend.
Rec Spec, love it. Kendall Hinton, Hall of Famer, says, what a beautiful tribute to DT. Rest in peace, DT. Very happy with the Broncos and Lions for that on-field tribute. What a win, too. That said, we're paying Tim Patrick millions to catch 2 balls for 21 yards, 2 catches for 26 yards before that. We're paying Sutton Moore to have 2 catches or less for 6 in a row. Judy could finish without a touchdown. Before this season, I would never have thought it was even possible to have receivers of this caliber and the cost getting them this few targets. I hoped after this week I wouldn't need to address this, but it's not changing. Historically, receivers force their way out of teams even when they're getting more work than Sutton is, like Stephon Diggs. Can you believe how hyped up we got for Jerry and Teddy's connection? I'm old enough to remember you guys talking about how good Teddy would be for Jerry. I'm not knocking you guys. Lots of us agreed. But if we ran the tape, the things that we said would seem far away from reality.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this a little bit today. First of all, Jerry Jeudy in a 17-game season would be on pace for over 80 catches. He had 50 last year.
That's crazy.
So that, is legitimate. At the same time here, I just don't know what we're complaining about. I guess you could say, like, the Broncos should have just let Courtland Sutton and Tim Patrick walk if they were just going to be a running team. But again, they're not paying them that money for this year. They're paying that money to have weapons on offense in the future. Do you want to just not have talent at those positions? I mean, the Patriots don't. It seems to be working for them. But I don't think anyone's excited about that over there. I'm sure they're saying we need more talent at wide receivers for Mac Jones. So you need to have those guys. But the formula is working. The last 2 out of the last 3 weeks, it has worked great. You beat the hell out of the Chargers. You beat the hell out of the Lions in a formula that involved running the heck out of the ball. I don't know how we can complain about that. Now, again, if the Bengals stop up the run and those guys still can't get anything when the Broncos inevitably have to pass the ball, then I think it's time to be worried. But they found a winning formula. The winning formula is run the damn ball. Keep doing it. I'm not complaining at all about what those guys are producing.
Like you said earlier, you gave those guys the contracts based on future years and almost certainly a future quarterback.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
and something different. And then whoever that quarterback is, whether it's an elite level veteran or first round pick, you can say, all right, here you go. Here are quality targets, 1, 2, 3, plus a pretty good tight end. I mean, Noah Fant, even though everyone's kind of frustrated with not breaking tackles, we're going to look at Noah Fant at the end of the season in all likelihood and say, wow, he had a really good season production-wise.
Yep.
He's in the top tier of tight ends production-wise.
Yep. And my issue, this goes beyond their production on the field. They're just paying 2 wide receivers big-time money, and we've talked about that as well. But, Ryan, who would you put the blame on for Courtland Sutton and Tim Patrick really doing nothing since they signed those contracts? And I'm not saying it's because they signed the contracts. I'm just saying it's about that time frame.
Pat Shurmur.
Okay.
But I'm not blaming anyone for anything because
they've had
it's working.
Success, right.
I'm not going to blame Pat Shurmur for putting out winning game plans 2 out of the last 3 weeks, one of them against a good team. So that to me is the number one reason why they aren't getting it is because of the way they're calling the offense, which I don't think is a problem as long as you win.
So then same question for you. So you're not concerned about Courtland Sutton and Tim Patrick, right?
Not at all.
How concerned are you about Teddy Bridgewater?
In terms of what?
In terms of the exact same thing, the sample size of the past 3 games, where Teddy Bridgewater has thrown for an average of 188 yards since the bye, 4 touchdowns total, 2 interceptions, and 87 passer rating.
None of that worries me about Teddy Bridgewater. What worries me about Teddy Bridgewater is I don't think he has it in him to win a game when the game's on the line.
Okay, that's fair. As long as you're holding Teddy Bridgewater to the same standard as Courtland Sutton, and if you're giving those 2 guys passes for winning because the Broncos have been passing more than they've been running, running more than they've been passing, then I'm fine with that.
What Teddy Bridgewater did yesterday was enough. What he did against the Chiefs was terrible.
Okay, Stevie in the Madden chat came after me for simply
and
saying...
I defended you.
For simply saying, yes, that Teddy was good. Was I off base for saying he was... I didn't say great.
I think he was okay,
Good.
and his stats were good.
I think his stats were great. What did he have? 110 pass rating, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 72% completion. And I'm not just getting sold on the stats there, but what did he do? He helped lead an offense that went 38 points. If you have a bad quarterback, you got to run for 300 yards in order to score 38 points.
His ball placement was really off yesterday.
It was. But did he get it to the right reads?
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I said
Right.
when I came in there. Is I said, look, inaccurate completions are better than incompletions.
Yeah, it's very true, and that's why he was good. He wasn't great.
Yeah, he wasn't great.
I would say he can be much better.
I would say he was okay.
Okay. Do you know he had the 5th best QBR?
I know. But I rewatched the game again today, and it was like he just wasn't sharp.
He wasn't.
So I can't call him good if he wasn't sharp.
Good. You can be good without being sharp.
I don't know. I mean, we're splitting hairs on semantics here. thought he was good enough. How about that?
There we go. They're good enough for a 28-point blowout. So he was way better than good enough. Give me a break.
We just agreed that the passing game has really nothing to do with this. It's mostly the running game.
Exactly. And so that's why Teddy's doing what he needs to do.
Good enough.
Good. We'll
enough.
end there.
From Shaggy McLovin III. Hey, fellas. So loving where we are and excited to push for the playoffs. Also, I went to JMU, watching JMU this year. I see similarities with their backfield and the Broncos' backfield. Multiple backs with different skills, but effective. The way they rotate their backs is each back gets 2 plays and then switches out. I think with all 3 of our backs being able to run and pass protect, do you think that this would be an effective way to rotate our backfield? No. Touches stay close and to even. No favoritism. Best of all, it never gives away if we're running or passing. What are your thoughts? Also, check out JMU versus NDSU this weekend. Will be like a championship game. Yeah, JMU took out Henry's Montana Grizz.
Ah, dang.
And then they're kind of my Montana Grizz because I just adopted them.
Because he's your son.
Yes, exactly. No, I hate that more than anything.
What part of it?
Planned rotation. And the Broncos do this as well. They just alternate drives for the most part. I just ride. If a guy's going, I'm riding him. And that might end up in games where Melvin Gordon gets the lion's share and Javonte doesn't get as much. And I know people hate that. But if Melvin goes for 120 on 5 yards of carry, like, complain all you want. That's winning football. And the same to be true for Javonte. When he's out there and he gets a head of steam and he's just wrecking fools, I want them to see him come out there in the next drive and come into the huddle and say, oh, God damn it, not again. So, excuse my language, sorry. But it's one of those things where
Gotta mute you.
I want to ride the hot hand. I hate flipping every 2 plays. How is a guy supposed to get in a rhythm? I've said this before. I'll say it again. Ask any running back ever. What does it take to get into a rhythm? They'll say, I probably need like 3 drives to see how the defense is playing, feel, the holes, all that stuff. Rhythm is a huge part of being a running back. And I think that rotation, in the NFL at least, is not going to work because you're not going to give either guy a chance to get into a rhythm.
But it's working now.
What they're doing, yeah.
What they're doing
But he's
now.
talking about rotating every 2 plays.
Planned, yes. I totally agree with you. And what the Broncos doing is working now. And Ryan, not just for the running backs, the offensive linemen, multiple starters. We had Reisner and Quinn Minard say they need 20 carries at least. And I mean, that should be the bare minimum threshold for this team in order to get going. And so if you're not doing something that helps your offensive line, that helps your running backs, then what are you doing? That's why, Ryan, I love to see that 39 mark hit every single game these next 4 games.
I'm worried about this week. I don't know if we're going to get it.
Can't believe you're going to abandon the run. I can't believe you're advocating to abandon the run.
It's not what I'm saying, but I think that the Bengals have an opportunity to stop the run. Well, you're just going to run it 3 times and punt?
Yeah, you are. You're going to do what the New England Patriots did against the Buffalo Bills in much different circumstances. Yeah, you're gonna run the heck out of it, and one's going to break.
I think you're going to have some 3rd and 7s, some 3rd and 6s that you're just going to need to pass the ball, and I think you're going to need Teddy Bridgewater to make some big plays for you this week if you're going to win.
The Broncos, when they have ran for more yards than the league average is 112 rushing yards per game. When they've ran for more than that, pretty much undefeated. When they've ran for less than that in a game, pretty much have lost every single game. In the past 3 games, their winning formula, which is their new winning formula, somehow it took them 10 weeks to find out, but now they've got it, so congratulations to them. 160 rushing yards. That's the key, man.
Yes, but this is the classic rushing conversation of obviously you run more when you win.
Yeah, but what did they do? I mean, that's how they win, though.
It is how they win.
No, because even when they were losing last week, they still ran the ball 24 times with Javonte Williams.
Didn't do anything for them.
But that wasn't just stat padding.
No. I'm just saying, did they get to the number you need to get to win?
They were at, yes, they did, and that was, I think, their only loss that they've hit that number.
So that kind of shows you that it doesn't get. Usually, when you're winning the game, you run the ball more. When you're losing the game, you pass the ball more. I'm not saying that's a case for abandoning the run. I'm just saying usually you're going to look around the league and see that teams run the ball better in their wins because you're winning. And you're
But I
running
just
out the
took the
clock.
average there. I mean, so you disagree with me that the Broncos formula is running the ball?
No, not at all.
Well, then that's it. It's as simple as that. And Ryan, that's what they do well. And yes, you do have to do, if you're good enough to do the New England Patriots where you can totally change what you do on a week-to-week basis, you of course do that. Ryan, is this team good enough to do that? They've got to stick with their guns.
They do have to stick with their guns, but eventually a team is going to have a counter, and you're going to have a counter.
What you're going to have to do is just hit on those opportunities you get. Ryan, if the Broncos, if it's a competitive game against the Bengals, they can have 39 rushing attempts and 24 passing attempts. Teddy's going to have to hit on not necessarily 5 50-yard balls.
No.
He's going to have to hit on the 32-yarder he had to Fant, one to Cortland Sutton, and then he's just going to have to be accurate. But you know what? I think yesterday Teddy's accuracy, it doesn't concern me because that was the anomaly. I mean, I think his accuracy is pretty good for the most part. Now, what hasn't been there consistently is the shots down the field.
Yep.
But I don't think you need a high-flying passing attack to come from Teddy Bridgewater.
No, but I do think, and it could happen as soon as this week. In fact, I expect it to happen this week. The Bengals are going to say, we will not allow you to run the ball. And maybe you're good enough to beat 8-man boxes. We haven't seen a lot of it so far, so we don't know. And we've seen some of it, and they have had an opportunity to have success against that with some of those power runs. But I just think eventually there will come a game where a team that is capable of stopping the run will stop you from running. And that's where I worry the most about this team.
So we're going to need Teddy to throw it up, but on top of that, we're going to need $15 million Cortland Sutton to be special like he's now getting paid to be special.
Agree on both accounts. Last one here from Larry Den Jr. I have to say what I feel is real. We will not go to the playoffs if Teddy continues to be Teddy. I'm so done with Teddy throwing short of the sticks. He threw 2 touchdowns today, or did he? He had another TD in the red zone where he throws short of the sticks and depends on our awesome weapons to make a play. This is frustrating. So tired of hearing Cortland Sutton sucks, Jerry Jeudy sucks, they can't get open. I ask people, are they watching the games? Dude, that Javonte Williams catch and score was all Javonte. That was a terrible throw, and the catches that Jerry Jeudy had were terribly thrown. We're honoring DT, and we couldn't get one wide receiver to 88 yards as a tribute. I have not been this frustrated since Flacco SMH. How can we honestly think we're going to the playoffs? All you have to do is get the Broncos in 3rd and long, and you win. Teddy cannot convert past 3rd and 6. And if you do that, you're not a playoff team. SMH, this team deserves better than Teddy, man. Broncos were 8 or 12 on 3rd down yesterday.
Broncos are 8 and 12 on 3rd down. You know what else they are, and what's really helped them get to 25 points per game since the bye? They are 9 of 11 in the red zone. 9 of 11 scoring touchdowns. Yesterday, 5 of 5. Against the Chiefs, they were bad. I think 1 of 3. Game before that, against the Chargers, 3 for 3.
True test
that's taking care of it in the red zone, and you do have to give credit to Teddy. And yes, Ryan, the ball placement was bad on that Javonte win. That was a great play. He made the right read at least.
So this is what I don't understand from LDJ. I love you, LDJ, but how are we complaining about throwing short of the sticks on the plays where it works? Because that is the reason why you throw short of the sticks. Like, I'm not advocating for Teddy Bridgewater to do it more, but the reason is I don't see anything else. So I'm going to give one of my playmakers a chance to make a play. When it doesn't work, everyone hates it. But when it does work, it's a case for why you do it, right?
Yep.
And honestly, the Javonte one, I'm pretty sure that was the first read. It was, hey, if that defensive end crashes, you just throw it there. Now, he didn't throw it great, but that wasn't like got through his progressions, didn't have anything through it short. That was just a perfectly dialed up play for the situation. And the Albert O one, yeah, that's a 3rd down. He throws it out into the flat. Albert O makes an awesome individual play. That's why you have playmakers.
Right. And really quick, or I'll let you continue.
And I was just going to say, so again, no one likes to see that stuff, but that's the case for it. Now, of course, we can go and find plays where there was someone open down the field and he missed it and checked it down instead.
Yep.
But most of the time, this is one of the biggest things that I'm always trying to communicate. Most of the time, when they're throwing short of the sticks on 3rd down, it's because everything else is covered. The 1 and the 2 was covered, so you go to the 3rd read, which is, let's just hope our guy can make a play. It happens too much. You'd like to see him, be able to fit that ball in there, but he's a limited quarterback who might not necessarily be able to make that throws. Would you rather see interceptions? Right. Some people say yes. No, you wouldn't. You're lying.
Yes, yeah. People are like, just throw it up. I'm okay with a pick or 2.
Yeah,
Did you see last year?
Yeah,
we saw that.
But people, they're saying that was more entertaining.
Winning football.
That's what I'll take wins all
I like
day.
talking about playoffs like we did today, and we're able to do that. And you know what? I think I said this yesterday too, Ryan. The Broncos you can roll with Teddy Bridgewater right now for the rest of the season, and then go look for an upgrade. You can cheer for Teddy this year, and then look for his replacement next year. And you know what? The Broncos are going to try their hardest to do that.
Yep.
Now, because Teddy's average, there's maybe a chance that there's no one better and that he's back for another year. It's not sexy to think about, but that just shows Teddy's not the worst out there. And really quick, quote of the day comes from Alberto. When he caught that pass, he said he turned upfield. When he saw the end zone, he smelled blood, and he was out to get it. I absolutely love that.
Are the Broncos developing a killer instinct?
Oh, maybe. I like this. I
Got
like
Javante's, got Michael Myers on him.
Yeah.
Alberto's smelling blood. I like this.
And both of these guys, very quiet dudes, not guys you would expect for that, which makes it, like you said, a little creepier.
You know what? But this comes with a running the football identity. It makes your team tougher. Because what you tell them is pretty simple. Just go. You have to go push the other team around.
Yep.
And when you get good at that, it gives you an edge. It gives your team an identity. And I think the Broncos are getting close to that right now as a team that can run the ball, as a team that can out-tough you.
Yep.
And that, if they can continue that, will get them to the playoffs.
Yeah, it absolutely will. And Ryan, is Alberto a pass-catching tight end, or would you say he's a run-blocking grinder?
Yeah, he's absolutely a pass-catching tight end.
100%. Today, multiple times on the podium, he was talking about how this team is run first, how when they win the ball, they win, how they're unstoppable when they run the ball. And that's exactly what this Broncos team is doing. And my final point, really quick, Bill Simmons tweeted this yesterday right before the Broncos game started. He said, not sure what the NFL season record is for harmless short of the first down conversions on third and long, or completions on third and long, but Baker Mayfield has to be close. So Broncos fans, remember, when you hate seeing Teddy throw short, I hate it as well. Every quarterback is doing it.
Especially the non-really
Right.
special ones.
Exactly. And every single fan base thinks that they are Teddy Bridgewater. Everyone says, no one can be worse. So don't worry, other people are feeling your pain.
Yeah, I mean, it happens for every team, but especially, we see so much of Patrick Mahomes in this division. He's like, he refuses to throw short of the sticks on third down because he has the ability to, warp the ball into insane windows. Teddy Bridgewater is so far away from Patrick Mahomes in arm talent. It's not even funny. And I get it. That's why people don't like him. But you don't want him to try to be someone he's not, because then you get turnovers and you will lose games when you turn the ball over. Just look at last season where they won 5 games. This is the worst record, tied for the worst record they've had since the Peyton Manning era ended. So he's doing the right thing. He's doing what he's coached to do. I know it's not fun. It's not exciting, but there's a 4th and 17 or something yesterday. He checks out and they're booing. It's
right.
He's not making that throw. They're playing in soft zones deep down the field. There's no one there.
Ryan, you've been all over this, but imagine how people in Los Angeles are feeling with Justin Herbert. I mean, Justin Herbert's a guy who has the Patrick Mahomes type of arm talent, and they're forcing him to check it down. Just that's how people feel with Teddy times 100.
Yeah. I mean, or how about, forget it. We've talked enough about
Great
this.
conversation.
This was a great conversation. Great show today. A long show today. So appreciate you guys who tuned in with us the whole way through. A lot of interesting topics in Broncos country. We'll be talking about them all week here on the DNVR Broncos podcast. Catch us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I'm going to hop over and do our bet show. If you're looking for some more content, we'll be talking bets here in just a few minutes. And also, finally, a shout-out to Green Mountain Dental Group, the absolute best dentist group in the metro area. Family-owned dentists. They've been part of our family for a long time. They treat us like family. They'll treat you like family. So head on down there and schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam and get a free Sonicare toothbrush when you do. Hit us with a thumbs up on your way out. We appreciate you. We're giving you a thumbs up for great participation in the comments today. So we will catch you tomorrow on the DNVR Broncos podcast.